big game. Mom had the house put together much better by the time I got home. There were less boxes and more of our stuff unpacked and around the house. I could smell some of my mom's stew cooking in the kitchen, and I found her in my room, you guessed it, unpacking a box. Hi, Mom. I had an awesome day. I have to be at the high school for 4:30, and Mrs. Barty told me to dress warm and bring my trumpet to play in the stands, and practice was really cool this morning. Slow down. I'm glad things went well for you today. Before we get into all the details, let's see if we can find you something for you to wear. What do you think? She just said something warm. Let's see. Here's a pair of corduroy pants and the shirt you have on with this hooded sweatshirt and your winter jacket. How does that sound? Okay, I need my trumpet too. They were playing Louie Louie, and I played that we learned at Pierce, and it blew away the band. No one else played high, and I met a couple of guys in the band, and I had lunch with them, and whoa! It was a busy day, wasn't it? By the way, how was that science test that we studied for last night? Well, that was easy. I think I aced it. I know I did better than some kids in the class. What time do you have to be where? 4:30 at the high school. Let me go check on the stew. You'll need to eat by 4. I think it'll be done. I'll be downstairs. I heard someone come in the front door and Mom run over with some commotion. When I looked down from the top of the steps, it was Samantha, and she was crying. Apparently she had a really bad day at school, and she was blubbering. I don't want to live here. I never wanted to live here. I'm never going back to that school. Never, never, ever. Mom was hugging her and trying to calm her down, but it didn't seem to be working too well. Sam, why don't you go into the den and watch Hannah on TV? I just need to stir supper, and then we can have a nice long talk. I don't want to talk. I just want to move back and be with my friends back home. I guess I didn't notice that Samantha was really taking this move a lot harder than me. She always seemed more popular with kids in her age than I ever did. Mom was probably right that she just needed to chill out in front of Disney TV or Nick, so I decided to leave her alone, at least for now. As annoying as she was, she's my sister, and we have a lot of fun together. Hopefully I'll be able to find something for us to do to take her mind off of the move during the weekend. In the meantime, I went up to my room and picked up my trumpet to start playing through the stand songs and memorizing the fight song. The stew was awesome, and Samantha had recovered a bit from her arrival at home. But before I knew it, I was all bundled up with my trumpeter jacket and $5 for snacks in hand, getting onto the 7th and 8th grader bus to the game with the band. None of them had ever been to Burkeville before, but it was over an hour away. Collectively, all we knew was that their football team was nationally ranked, and their band, just like Chautauqua, was one of the best bands in the whole state. Our only chance of making the playoffs is to beat the undefeated Burkeville Bulls, which our team had never done. The guys told me that we actually had a chance this year. Our quarterback and a few other players were being recruited by some big schools, and some of Burkeville's best players were hurt. But as far as this bus was concerned, the highest priority was for the band to have a good time on the bus, do as well as we could at halftime, play the stand music to cheer our team on, and stop for a burger on the way home. I had never been in a band bus before. We sang the required songs, 100, Bottles of Beer on the Wall, only to 90, just enough to annoy the chaperones. Queen's sports medley of We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You, and a bunch of others. Then as we entered Burkeville, everybody started yelling, We're from Bradmore. We couldn't be any prouder. And if you can't hear us, we'll cheer a little louder than We're number one. We're number one. We're number one. By the time we entered the stadium, everyone was really pumped up and a little hoarse. The Burkeville band did a pregame show in the Star Spangled Banner. They were huge, totally awesome, and reminded me of the Chautauqua High School band, though I thought Chautauqua was probably a little better. They were about twice the size of the Bradmore band and a lot better, but I always root for the underdog anyway. Tonight was my kind of night. The Bradmore band was definitely outmatched, and the Burkeville Bulls were favored by 2 touchdowns over our Bradmore Braves. We made a lot of crazy noises as the teams lined up for the first play. Bradmore received the kickoff, and we were off to a great start. The kickoff return was spectacular. And with only one more guy to beat, our player was knocked out of bounds near the 50. A few plays and a bunch of quick band cheers later, Bradmore scored, and we were jumping around while the drum major was trying to start the fight song. Eventually, we got it going, and I learned how to do the horn swings, out of sheer necessity. There wasn't a lot of room. Everyone was moving their horns left, right, so hard that it was a miracle that none of them crashed into each other. I was glad I knew enough of the fight song by memory so I could play most of it. It was loud, faster than usual, sloppy at times, and probably the most exciting thing I had ever done. By the time we settled down, the kickoff had happened, and the Bulls' offense was dominating our defense. They scored rather quickly, and we watched the other side of the stands explode with excitement just like we had. Our side was shouting, "Give me a G, give me an O, give me a B, give me an R, give me an A, give me a V, give me an E, give me an S, go Braves!" over and over again. The first half went really fast, and with about 6 minutes to go in the second quarter, it was time for the Bradmore band to go behind the home team so that they would be ready for halftime. My job was to guard the conductor's stand at the 50-yard line on our side of the field until Mrs. Barty came back to start the show. The half ended in a tie score. The players left the field, and the Bradmore band stepped to the sideline. We quickly set up the conductor's podium on the 50-yard line as the drum major led the band out into the field for their opener. It sounded a little louder than during rehearsal. Everyone must have really been fired up. The big difference is that the lines of band members actually looked straighter. I wonder if the lines were better, or it just looked better because everyone was in the same uniform now. During practices, everyone has different outfits on, and the show doesn't look as good. Marching on a different field, under the lights, with different grass, and in front of a much bigger band seemed pretty scary to me, and I was only on the sideline. I was very proud of my new band. The Burtville band was totally awesome. At least it seemed that way. They were facing away from us, and their fans were cheering very loud at every song. When the Bradmore team came out after halftime, they totally dominated the Bulls. We were up by 2 touchdowns through most of the half, and our band just kept playing one song after another. Of course, my favorite was Louie Louie. I did learn more of the fight song by the end of the game. We got to play it a lot. It was hard to believe that Bradmore actually won. We were in the playoffs. After a crazy ride home with Dean and Claire and Butch singing and screaming and laughing, we arrived back at the school more than a little hoarse, hungry, and not tired at all. The lights on cars started going on as the buses pulled into the parking lot, and parents started opening car doors. I grabbed my trumpet case just as Dad found me. Before I knew it, I was home. It was after 10 o'clock, way after my bedtime. Samantha was already sound asleep, and Mom was in her pajamas. I was starving, so I ate a couple bowls of cereal while rambling on about all the cool stuff that happened. My parents were clearly more tired than me, but they seemed amused by my rantings. I still wasn't tired when I got to bed, but I eventually fell asleep and woke up after everyone else the next morning. It was really starting to feel like I was home. I couldn't wait to call Danny and tell him all about it. The phone was finally being installed today, so I should finally be able to call him. Wow, do I have a lot to talk about.